resellers made 5 times as much from a revenue standpoint. So I think this really summarizes the value proposition that online backup poses for the market. It's a better technology at a lower price for end users with much richer margins for the resellers and suppliers of technology. And I won't dwell too much on this slide. I think most people are probably familiar with the problems with tape, but just comparing tape and disk backup to online backup. Deployment is often a problem with hardware-based backup, whereas with online backup, it's just software which is deployed over the network. Coverage is always an issue with hardware and tape-based backup. By their nature, they can't back up laptops and branch offices and distributed data because those things are not connected to the LAN. Whereas online backup, every device is connected to the cloud. So every device is under the backup cloud and can be protected. There is no media with online backup, so there's no media to be rotated off-site or media to be protected. A lot of the higher profile data loss incidents over the last 5 years have been because of media that's been misplaced. Recovery with hardware-based backup is often slow and difficult and has to be run through the IT department, whereas with online backup, users can actually do recovery themselves. They don't even need to escalate to IT. Online backup is far more secure than hardware-based backup. Most hardware backup technologies aren't even encrypted, whereas online backup, we use encryption across the industry. We all use security similar to that's used by online banking, and it's very secure. Access to data. With online backup, you've got immediate, simple, worldwide access to your data. So from my iPhone, I can search all of the data that I have in the cloud, and I can pull down any of that data, share it with colleagues, share it with friends, just from my mobile device. I certainly don't need to talk to the IT department. Cost. We've looked at cost. Online backup, from a TCO standpoint, is often less than half the cost of an analogous hardware-based solution. It's not always the case, of course. There are a lot of variables, but generally we see online backup coming in at about 50% of the cost of hardware-based backup and at a much higher margin to you, the reseller. Got some questions coming in. We've got a potential partner here who sells to small office and home offices and to non-profits. It's a pretty typical sort of profile for the sorts of partners we work with, Michael. So you should absolutely talk to our partner specialists about that. We've got price points that will be attractive for home users and other budget-conscious organizations like non-profits. Peter asks if there are any licensing costs to the customer. And Peter, end-user pricing is completely set by you. So we are your platform provider, and we wholesale the technology to you, and you get to set the rules about licensing and pricing to your customers. So you could charge your customers licensing, or you could just charge them a blanket fee. That's totally under your control. Masood asks how much bandwidth is required. Masood, we generally say a broadband connection, so anything from a DSL connection on up will be fine. Obviously, the faster the connection, the faster the backup. It does not work well over asymmetric connections like satellite, where the upload speed on a satellite connection is so much slower than the download speed. Samuel asks if the presentation is available for download. Samuel, you'll get an email link with a video recording of the webinar within 24 hours, so that, yep, you can access this content at any time. And Lynn asks, is backup available for Win Server 2K3, 2K8, and Linux? Yes, and sort of. We can back up Linux or Mac or Unix or any other OS device so long as there's at least one Windows box on the network. So if you've got at least one Windows box in the environment, then we can support it. Dennis asks, how fast can complete online backups be gotten to customer in case of disaster? Dennis, you've got immediate real-time access to your data, so you can just go to any web-connected computer and download all the data in real time. We can also organize a physical media recovery for you, which can take a few days where we'll do a full restore and send it out to you. But usually what customers would do in the case of a full disaster is pull down the crucial files and have those within an hour, and then do a longer recovery for all the rest of the data. Kent asks whether or not he can back up data to his own servers, or does it have to go to the SOS servers? Kent, you can back up to your servers so long as it's then ongoing to our servers, if that makes sense. So some people set it up to go from, say, workstations to their server and then from their servers to our servers. But what we sell is an end-to-end solution, so the data ends up in SOS's private cloud, which we carve out a portion of our cloud and give it to you. All right, so just a little more statistics. I promise this is the last slide on statistics. We often get asked how big the market is and how big the opportunity is. And just some brief stats. The overall backup industry is about $10 billion a year in spend. We saw a few slides back that nearly $3 billion of that had been being spent on tape-based technologies. That, of course, is split up between hardware, software, and services on the one hand, and then between consumer, small business, and enterprise on the other. But the overall online backup industry is only at about $1 billion. So online backup is pretty small by comparison to the overall backup industry. A lot of people agree that online backup is likely to get a 70 or 80% market share. So we're still looking at enormous growth ahead of the online backup industry. And with fewer than, say, 10% of consumers actually using online backup today, then there's really a lot of room for growth yet in this market. This is a good time to be getting into the business. All right, so let's turn to the SOS technology itself. And we've got a couple more questions here. One more from Mike. Do you have plans to offer Mac or Linux support? So Mike, we can back up data from Mac and Linux so long as there's a Windows device in the network environment today. We plan on supporting pure Mac and pure Linux environments in this half. We've got a beta technology right now that's a closed beta, but we don't have a firm date on when we're going to be shipping that yet, apart from we plan to have it out this half. So on this slide, it really lays out the core pillars, if you will, of the SOS product strategy. And there are 4 elements to it: protect, access, share, and manage. And that's really what we do. We protect data, we help you access the data, we help you share the data, and we help you manage the data. We're going to see different applications of these 4 core principles in the next few slides as we talk through SOS's capabilities. These features are all on our website, so please take some time to go through our website and read more about them, or call in and talk to one of our partner specialists to learn more about it, but I'll talk to some of the highlights here. Continuous data protection. This is what we call our Live Protect technology, and it's built-in integrated CDP. So all of our competitors do scheduled backup, which we of course do as well, but with SOS you can actually watch individual files and have them back up immediately upon a change being detected, which is extremely powerful. Unlimited computers. Most of our competitors require you to pay a license fee for every machine you install the software on. So taking Mozy Pro, for example, I believe the license fee is $3.95 a month per machine. So if you've got 100 machines, you're paying $5,000 a year to back up no data, simply to install the software. With SOS, there are no license fees. You can run the software on an unlimited number of computers, and we've got customers who are backing up hundreds of computers within one account, and that really gives the software some of its power, the ability to manage all of those PCs within one account. Global roaming access. You can access your data through a browser. You can share that data. You can share folders, share files, recover that data through a browser. Some recent reviews of our product, actually, we recently won PC Magazine Editor's Choice again for the 5th year running. And one of the reasons that they continue to highlight our success is because of the versatility of the technology. So that ability to not just access your data, but to share it out to others on a file level or a folder level or a version level is extremely powerful in both a home user setting and in a business setting. Access on iPhone and BlackBerry. We'll have Android coming out later this year. So the ability to get all of that same power and access in a native application right on your device. You can actually back up your BlackBerry, back up your iPhone as well, which is extremely powerful. Free integrated local backup. So although we're an online backup company, the software's got a free local backup stack built in, which means you can set up full system local backups as well as then backing up core data to the cloud on a different schedule. Physical media upload. This is the ability to seed the backup set by sending data to us on a drive, and we'll then upload the data to the data centers for you to save you all that bandwidth. Timeline-based recovery. We've got a very powerful recovery system. I think you'll see it stands head and shoulders over the competition, which lets you roll back your PC to any given point in time. It's modeled after the Windows XP system restore wizard, which has been replaced in subsequent Windows versions, but was extremely powerful. And in our technology, lets you pick any date and time you want to roll back to, search your backup sets, search by system, search by file names, and that actually it's got the unintended consequence of giving you immediate access to all your data. So, for example, I've got 6 PCs, about 5 terabytes in my personal SOS account, and about 5 years worth of version history. And right from my iPhone on my desk, I can search 5 terabytes of data over 5 PCs, 6 PCs, and get an instantaneous response for what I'm looking for. And I'm not aware of any other technology that lets me do that. It's nearly like Google desktop search moved to the cloud across all of my private data in a fully secure environment, and is an extremely powerful side effect of our recovery engine. Flexible scheduling, you can schedule however you'd like, hourly, weekly, monthly, daily. And before one-click sharing, we've talked about the sharing system. These last 2 features are important. I'll just answer some of the questions that have come in. One particular question, we get this a lot, any issues with backup PSTs, Outlook data files, Michael? Michael, that's one of the most common types of files that we back up. So Outlook is nearly always, Outlook and QuickBooks are 2 of the most common file formats that we're backing up, so no problems there. Unlimited versioning, coming back to the slide deck. This is a really important feature and a real standout feature for SOS when you compare it to the crowd of other vendors. We keep every version of every file. So if a file changes every single day, after a year we'll have 365 versions. And we don't charge you for that. SOS bears the cost of storing all of that completely for free. So we have some customers who have 5 years of version histories in our cloud. And coupling that with the recovery engine, you can see in the graphic above, that's when it gets really powerful, because if you've got every version of every file, when you roll back to a certain point in time, you can get every file and the version it was at that time. So it really gives you a cloud-based time machine for your computing environment. And then lastly, unlimited archiving, which is a little bit complicated. And I'll draw a contrast with Carbonite and Mozy. If you are backing up with Carbonite and Mozy and you delete a file off your PC, they will then delete that file out of the cloud. And they do that because they say that it's no longer a backup. If you've removed it from your PC, you obviously don't want it backed up. So they delete it from the cloud. The problem with that is that we've found the vast majority of single file recoveries on our network are because of accidental deletion or loss of data. So customers losing files or accidentally deleting files. The last thing they would want us to do is to actually delete those files from our cloud. So we archive it for you forever. So what that means is that our system can be sold as a full archiving solution, which is very important for, particularly in the business environment, for law firms, financial services firms, for any business that is regulated by the HIPAA regulations. You can sell our backup stack as an archiving solution that can be used to archive data for 5, 7 years or whatever is required. And again, that's built in and for free. So let's turn